election, it is the issue of reproductive rights. And now we have this IVF ruling in Alabama. Stephanie, how significant is this? Because look at how quickly Republicans have come out, including Byron Donalds today, to say, no, we support IVF services. I might even sign a federal piece of legislation that would protect them.
They are the dog that caught the car.
Yeah.
And they have been fighting for decades to overturn Roe, which is what Dobbs gave us, that Donald Trump brags about. He did that by appointing members of the Supreme Court. But, you know, all of these members that rushed out to say, oh, we support IVF, they're the same members that are supporting legislation right now that would ban IVF.
Yeah.
So voters are smarter than this, and they've proven they're smarter than this. Since Dobbs came down, women have been turning out all over this country to say, these are our freedoms you're taking away. I think IVF really crystallizes it. Now, it was very much predicted. We knew this was going to happen. This is not an isolated example. It's going to keep happening. And Republicans are going to keep tripping over this because their real position is that, yes, they do want to ban these things.
Chuck, how do you see it playing out?
Look, I think it's fascinating that in a Republican primary in these exit polls, we ask, what's the most important issue? And abortion's always been one of the top 4 issues. And, up until this year, when you saw abortion and a Republican pick abortion, it usually meant that they were, on the limiting side of access, the pro-life side, however you want to characterize it. What was interesting here is in South Carolina, just 10% said abortion was the most important issue, and a majority voted for Nikki Haley among those. It tells you that this is, 2022, those midterms. I think in 10 years from now, historians will look back, we're sitting there going, wasn't these Trump nominee? No, that was a Dobbs election.
Yes.
And we may go, this may be a Dobbs decade. There are times that I look at this electorate and I wonder, can the Republicans win a national election until they figure out their position on abortion? And I don't know if they can.
And they're all over the map in terms of messaging. They would acknowledge that. Yamiche, you were on the ground in Alabama.
The human impact of this cannot be underscored. The trauma that I talked to when I witnessed women say that they spent years and thousands of dollars preparing for IVF only to get calls from their doctors the day before that their procedures were canceled. People are going to remember that no matter what happens with the legislation. And let's remember, Republicans took a week for them to really coalesce around the idea that they supported IVF. And
so
I
they
was in
had to
an
check with
IVF
the groups to see what they could say.
I was in an IVF clinic where one of the doctors told me she was having the hardest conversations of her life. I saw her physically feel relief when Donald Trump said that he was going to come out, but she said it was head spinning to think that politics was the reason why she can now tell her patients that they can have their dreams again, that they won't be crushed.
Lahnee?
No, as I said, I think we've seen a shift in where the energy is here, right? The energy now, I think, if you look at turning out voters and you look at the enthusiasm gap, one of the issues you see is how Democrats have used this issue really to shape the electorate into an electorate that's favorable to political outcomes, whether it's in congressional seats, gubernatorial races, or indeed the presidential contest. So for Republicans, messaging around and having a conversation on this issue, what Byron Donalds did was exactly right, which is you've got to come out in favor of a really strong effort on IVF, I think, nationally, and that's where they've got to be.